Hey, Build Show! Are you ready? Yeah, we have a new exciting episode of our Forever Home. Yeah, you can see the house is built, roof is on, trim is in, and windows are getting installed. Yes, this episode of the Forever Home, we're talking about the window installation, but I'm not doing it by myself. I got a special guest up here, and we're gonna share in that conversation. So let's head on inside and let's talk window install.
Forever Home, a Build Original series, is brought to you by Builders First Source, AZEK Exteriors, Huber Engineered Woods, and Rockwool. Forever Home, a Build Original series.
All right, so you ready to install windows? Before we do, I told you we got a special guest.
Yo, yo.
Yeah, we got Mr. Build Show himself, all decked out in 3 Build Show jackets.
It's pretty cold here, Steve, I gotta say.
Especially when you come from Texas.
This is not Texas.
You ready to talk window install?
Let's do it.
I mean,
like
these
it.
guys are doing a beautiful job. Everything's exactly the way they are in
We
the
got a
drawings.
lot of good details, but I want to actually back up one quick second here, Steve. You take the window manufacturer's rough opening size, and what are the dimensions you add to it to get to where we are today?
So we take the unit dimension, the actual window size, and then we do plus 2 inches in width.
Okay.
So when we put the jam liners in, that adds an inch, and then that gives us a 1/2 inch space around the window
Gotcha.
to then air seal it. Vertically, we do 3.5 inches because we have that 1/2 inch.
Yep.
We have the rip sill, which is 2
So
or
this
1.5 inch, so
inch and a
that's
half
2.
here. Yep.
And then we do the slope sill, so that's like 2.5. So then that leaves us that inch
Got it.
vertically for that rough.
So we
opening.
got that 1/2 inch wiggle room on all sides
Exactly.
to shim,
Exactly.
to make sure we do
Shim,
some air
make sure we
sealing.
align it. I mean, these guys will put a laser on and make sure all the tops of the windows, especially if they're all in one room,
Yep.
so that they all align.
So 1 inch on width to the RO,
Yes.
but 2 inches to the
the rough
actual
frame.
rough opening.
Yes.
And then what were those dimensions vertically one more
It's
time?
3.5 inches vertically.
On the
rough frame.
on the rough framing. And by the way, there's something interesting here too I want to mention.
Hey there, Build Show. Steve Baczek, architect. I'm out on the site of our Forever Home. You can see behind me here, you might notice we have a bunch of interior walls framed, right? I can pull them off here. You can see there's a couple small ones here, larger ones here. But guess what you don't see? You don't see scrap pieces. You don't see sawdust, you don't see a mess, you don't see a pile of waste. That's because we chose to use the Ready Frame project out here. The Ready Frame is a package that basically comes out, and it comes out all pre-cut. You'll notice all of the positions are digitally printed on the top frame, top plate and bottom plate. So it's literally all spelled out for you. And the beauty of this is the guys were framing the wall framing here for, I don't know, 3 or 4 days. They never had to break out a saw. We're pretty much almost through roof framing, and we're getting rid of the very first 10-yard dumpster. So there's little to no waste out here. It's pretty much a no-brainer. And all of the interior walls, the same thing. Exterior walls, all of the headers are pre-cut, all of the LVLs. They did our pocket headers the way we would typically do them. So everything was to the way that I intended it to be done. It was done with the accuracy and expertise that we would expect, and everybody that was a part of the process found it very favorable. So give BFS a chance, give that Ready Frame package a chance. Get with your framers, try it out once. It is certainly not over the top, and like Jim and Shoreline and their framer Ryan, you might be pleasantly surprised that Ready Frame is the way to go in the future.
This sill, which came from Ready Frame, is flat. You guys don't do the slope sill, you don't need to, because now you've got this sub sill. And what's the purpose of this?
I
Steve?
call this the rip sill because For years, I've had builders say there's nothing for us to nail down to, so I give up a little bit of energy efficiency. I know everybody watching, oh my God, it's a thermal bridge.
It's not a big deal.
We're building a very efficient house here, but more importantly, we're building a very durable house.
That's right.
And the right decision should always win.
Yes.
And if the right decision is to have wood here and accept the thermal break, then that's the decision.
It's a
we run
very small amount of BTUs
Very
lost there
small.
compared to the whole rest of the house, which has zip bar on it. But I think that's really smart. So this is flat then.
Yes.
And then next we've got this, what is this gray material
So
here?
this is just a simple cedar lap siding.
So it's got that bevel straight from the factory.
Yep.
Cedar, which is naturally rot resistant, but it's not really going to see any water.
It's not going to
eventually.
see any water. We're going to cover it eventually, but it's mostly to get that slope. So that's our sill pan, and then of course we have this piece of 3/4 back here. That gives us about a 1/4 inch back dam here, so that any water that does get in there, it's going to go down the slope. It's not going to have the ability to come back.
Got it.
And all of this is dimensionally set up so that the window is sitting in a certain location, displaced from the face of the frame there inside.
And also, I want to point out here too, guys, I've heard Steve talk about this a lot. The face of the zip system sheathing is our air and water barrier. That's the Alamo, as Steve likes to say. And so by putting this jam liner in, so to speak, we're able to continue that continuity, but it makes it really easy when you've got this piece of ripped zip on here. So this is not like this is a lot of cost involved.
No.
This is a really smart detail. So next, we've got some air and water details on the next one.
Yeah, they take the measurement of the window, and then this thing is cut to the window rough opening plus 8 inches.
This
And
zip system strap
that gives
sheets.
us 4 inches on each side, and then we'll bring the other stuff down.
This is a miracle invention right here. This is
Yes.
an amazing tape. It stretches incredibly. Let's go over to the next opening and have Steve continue the continuity here.
All right, Matt, so we jumped one window over. Now you can see the sill pan is installed.
So stretch shades on first. Then, this is what I was talking about earlier, continuing that continuity. You're putting the zip system tape on top of the stretch tape here, and then that goes up and continues on the head as well.
Yes.
So now this air barrier is brought into the inside. That's a really good detail. Now what's underneath this black piece of zip tape
So
here,
these
Steve?
are just reverse clips. This is nothing more than that lap siding. They just cut it into these 1.5 by 3 inch, but these are fully tapered, and they just put them in reverse fashion.
So
And
now
we're
we've got-
back to level.
We're back to a flat surface.
Yeah, but the critical piece to this is that it elevates the window. So if any leak ever happened in here and comes down, it hits our sill pan. It can't come in here. The slope forces it with positive motivation towards the rain screen, and then the window sits up on here, so all of that can happen under the window.
Makes a lot of sense. Boy, look at that stretch tape doing its duty. I mean, it's stretched in the corners.
Yep.
It's stretched over the back dam. It's stretched into the corners perfectly. It's 100% continuous. It's got acrylic adhesive on the back. It sticks beautifully. The other thing that I like about this compared to some other stretch tapes we've seen in the market in the past, look how you don't need to put a hammer tack in the corner. It stayed exactly the way the guys put it. There's some amazing tech there.
Notice there's about a 2-finger space between this block and the wall.
Yep.
So even in the drawings and in our detail, I call for this to be a couple inches out of the
Smart.
corner. So now we have some drainage space.
Really smart.
we
And
set
if you
the window
wanted
on
to,
there.
you could put one in the center. You don't really need it as long as you
When the
have two
window
here.
exceeds 32 inches or 36 inches, then we'll start introducing these at every 16 inches.
And ultimately, the window's not really resting on these. All the structural is happening into the jam side later. And I want to point out too, there's never going to be a fastener through the sill pan. You never want to screw through a sill pan. No matter how self-sealing it is, we never want to rely on that self-seal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's good. You had the Shoreline guys do this all with stretch tape.
Yep.
Could we have done this out of liquid flash? What do you think about doing it out of
Very
liquid
much so.
flash?
There's a lot of guys that do it. I know when I've had the conversation with Jim, he likes stretch tape because there's no mess, no fuss,
It's a little faster.
and it's probably a little faster.
It's probably a little neater, considering if
Yeah.
you want this nice of a joint, you'd have to tape it.
Yep.
I also have a sense, Steve, that if you were really rough handling these windows and you had liquid flash, it might be a little less
Might gouge it.
durable or a little more
Yeah.
susceptible to having a gouge.
With the 10-inch piece, the one thing to notice is you can see the rip sill behind here, but notice
right.
we go
Good point.
past that raw piece of wood.
It's a great point, and you wouldn't want to do this in two pieces of the smaller size, because then you're building up the thickness on here.
Yeah.
And by using the wider size, we're going continuous from the inside all the way down here without a problem. So don't try and do two versions of the shorter tape.
I know a lot of you are out there saying, oh my God, do you know what 10-inch stretch tape costs? Understand, you know, in this house here, we're probably putting in $70,000 worth of windows, right? All of your decisions need to be proportional. If you're gonna put a window in here and you're gonna expect it to sit in this opening for 100 years and actually work,
That's right.
then we have to put a sill pan in here that we expect to last 100 years.
Totally agree. And last point on that, notice that everything here is a Huber product, from the zip system sheathing to tape, all this stuff. We want to stick with the same manufacturer. Huber's done an amazing job of having products that really work together, that are going to be lasting and durable. We don't want to sub another manufacturer's product in here because their tape is cheaper or whatever. We really want to use their products and their systems. This is a bomber assembly.
Yeah.
Time to install a window?
You wanna go see one installed?
All right, let's
go
go.
check it out. All right, Matt, we need to prep the window
Yep.
before we bring it to the rough opening. Unlike your typical flange window, European windows, you have to get these clips.
Yeah, there's no nailing flange sticking out from this window.
These clips, these things just simply rotate into place. There's grooves that are already in the window frame. Those just get placed in and basically rotate into place.
And now this is a structural clip, right?
That's a structural clip.
Gotcha.
And now you can add to the structure. It's not required, but Jim is using these self-tapping screws
So it's a pan-headed screw, self-tapping into the UPVC.
and the steel reinforced frame inside.
nice.
So these clips
Gotcha.
are not going anywhere.
Right.
Before we head over there, I'm going to give you the last tip from Steve. Not only do we put the clips in, and these are all spec'd on the drawings. We do them 3 inches out of the corner,
Okay.
and then about every 16 inches on center.
Perfect.
But here's the tip. When you put them in, you want to fold the clips in.
Yeah.
It does two things. It allows you to install the window without these catching the rough opening.
Yep.
But watch this. When you fold this out, it makes up that half-inch
It's
rough opening.
pre-bent to your half-inch RO.
And now
that's a
this sits
great
flat
tip.
against that
That's a
jam
really
liner.
good tip. I love it.
All right,
Okay,
let's go
time
check
to
out the
install.
loaded. All right, Matt, so we went through the rough opening. We talked about those clips. We folded them in.
This one's installed. Now I got a question for you, Steve. I'm seeing these installed with the screw into the jam, but you only have one on the top and the bottom. You don't have as many clips as the other window. What's the difference
We
here?
don't have that many because you can see we have this really cool ingenious screw called the turbo screw. Because this is an operable sash.
And that was a fixed.
Those were fixed.
Got it.
This, we now have access to the jam so we can use the turbo screws.
So I don't know why the name turbo, but the idea is it's all threaded.
It's
all
all
the way through. It doesn't have any smooth shaft. Very thick shank too, like that's a
Yes.
serious screw. That can hold a lot of design pressure. Also kind of a trim head on here.
Yep.
So it's kind of
Sits in
it's going
there.
to disappear nicely
And
on
they have
there.
little caps that
Okay.
come with this, so
Oh, that's
those will cover that. But the beauty of that is, as it goes through here, there's a piece of metal reinforcement inside the window here. But because it's all thread, it never draws the jam towards that.
Right,
It just basically
right.
screws through that
Yep.
metal into the wood.
So now this window actually has 6 points of attachment on the side. And again, like we talked about earlier, no attachment on the bottom. So nothing through that pan.
Nope.
And also Steve was very specific to say, hey, we need to go a couple inches up on
Yeah.
the sides, right? If this pan
Yep.
ever had any water in it, we don't want that screw going through it. And then also, you don't need anything on the head on this window either.
No,
If
not
it was
at
a
all.
bigger window, you might.
Right, and then for those of you not familiar, tilt turn, this is the turn option. And then if we rotate that further 90, that's how we vent.
The
So-
most common thing that I hear people say is when these shut, it sounds like a bank vault. I like these. Now we can vent our windows. If it's too hot in the wintertime, we get a little bit of that cold air in, but we're not worried about someone breaking in.
Right, and the center of glass on these, this is about R10 in the center of the glass. When you factor in all
Serious.
of the frame, this is probably about an R7 window unit. Just wanted to point out here, you know, you get to see the parts of the water management, I think, that are really important. And you get to see what those clips are doing because you can see the daylight under there.
Yep.
And so most windows, if they leak, they're gonna leak from somewhere up at the top. the water is going to come running down the jamb and it's going to get to the sill. We don't want it to come in, we want it to go out.
Right.
Those clips up and that slope sill pushes that water out.
Smart. I like it.
Let's jump on the outside. We got some of the SIGA tape and we'll talk about air sealing.
Okay, meet you out there.
We're going to talk a little bit about the air sealing, but before we do that, a couple things I want to mention. Water management. You could put these windows in, and we have done it recently where we've done it a fully face sealed system.
Yep.
This is a totally water managed system. So notice we have tape on 3 sides here, but we don't have tape on the bottom.
And in the past, we have taped the bottom sometimes.
We have.
Because you're going to notice that these have these really big weeps.
Yes.
And this system is meant, hey, if we get any water that's coming in and gets in there, it's going to weep out. This is not your crappy vinyl American style window that we've seen leak a lot. These Schucos are really high quality. This is UPVC, not vinyl. These are made to a much higher standard. But then I want you to give us some advice on the tape on the outside. What are you using?
Yeah, so on the outside here, we use a SIGA Fentrim tape. Now, the reason we like the Fentrim tape is because they come in various permeabilities. So this outside one is highly permeable. So if any water gets in there, it allows that moisture to dry out to the outside. The inside one will be impermeable. We put this on and you would think it's, you know, air sealing tape, but what this really is just flashing. We're trying to keep water out. Because around the perimeter from the inside, we'll do some expanding foam and then we'll do a second layer of tape, which is our actual air barrier. Now, the beauty of this tape is it actually has 2 faces. It has what I call the short face, and then it has the long face.
And so this is pre-bent, by the way, too, if you saw him when he peeled that roll off. This is ready to go, and this backer is still on.
So what that allows is this can get attached to the window, and we're only biting that maybe about 1/8 of an inch in there, but that also takes care of that rough opening. And then that allows this to then get peeled, and that gets connected to our weather-resistant barrier.
And I want to make mention too that this has a kind of construction cover on it already. If you wanted to, you could peel this back and go further, but it's going to depend on your trim detail, how much window frame you want to go. So if you wanted to have more like 1/2 inch coverage, peel this back, have a 1/2 inch coverage, but know that now you've got a wider trim that's going to be necessary to cover that.
Exactly. Now, we've done a bunch of these little windows out here. These are little 3x5s. What if I told you we have a material handler in the house and we got a beautiful 13 by 6 foot window that we're going to set in, and we're going to do exactly the same steps to that window.
Holy cow, 13 by 6. Let's go check this out.
Let's hit it. All right, so like I promised you in the intro, we're in back here. We got a monster window, 13 foot by 6 foot. We have a 7 foot fixed panel with 2 flanking operable panels. So when they put this together, they put it together in 3 pieces.
That's right.
And then we site mull it here.
Yeah, sometimes we mull it at the factory, sometimes we site mull it. In this particular case, it was better to ship it in 3 pieces and mull it together.
We have that fixed window. This thing is just under 6 foot tall. This fixed panel is 7 foot long, and we have the first of the flanking tilt turn that gets attached to it. This one's already been installed, but we have this other side where we're going to install one. So you can see he's simply just popping the hinges. They lift the sash, and they literally lift it right off of the pin.
Yeah.
This frame has already been gasketed and set up. You can see there's a seal there, there's a gasket here that runs along this frame. So this is going to just simply butt up to the window that we have over there, and then they have some screws where it literally just gets screwed together. So this is just, it appears to be about a 3.5 inch recessed screw here, and this is all pre-drilled. It's pre-drilled here and here, larger hole, smaller hole.
Absolutely.
Right, so it can grab
and
that
the size
pipe.
of the fastener is really important because you don't want to hit the glass on
You
the
don't
other
want to
side.
hit the glass. So if I put this in there, you can see we're probably about 3/8 of an inch past that mull.
That's right, and we're not grabbing into the PVC, we're actually grabbing into the steel reinforcement.
Into the steel reinforcement.
Yeah, so it's really
inside
important
there.
that it's pre-drilled.
The beauty of really good engineering is that it looks so simple when it's put together.
Yep. And you cannot underestimate the importance of us being able to remove these two sashes. We
Right.
just took out what I think is probably 220, 240 pounds of weight off of the window.
Right.
Today we're going to be using machine to install it, but sometimes contractors don't have the luxury of that, right?
Right.
They have to use manpower for it, and being able to do this can really make it easier and safer, especially if you're working up high. That's a big factor.
We're gonna grab this and we're gonna put it in the rough opening.
Fantastic.
All right, folks. Well, there you have it. You've seen us install the windows step by step. We got this big monster in as promised. Probably not much more to say. We're gonna finish up here, but in terms of this video, that's it. Hopefully you've been enjoying this Forever Home series. If this is the first video that you're watching, make sure you go check out, because we did some demo work. You got to meet Jim and Taylor. We talked about Ready Frame, which you know,
Amazing.
you walk through
Looks
here,
great
this
in here.
site is nice and clean.
Yeah.
There's no sawdust, none of that mess or anything.
As a quick side note on Ready Frame, Ryan, the carpenter over here, said it was his very first time doing Ready Frame. He'd been a carpenter for 16 years and he loved it. It went perfectly for him. The benefit to him was you're always worried about growing the building. Hey, we're a 1/4 inch off here on our cut, whatever. I may get to the end and now my rafters don't work. The building's a 1/2 inch bigger. Everything was dead on. It really saved him a ton of time.
Anyways, like I said, go check out those videos and stay tuned, because after these windows go in, we're gonna start heading inside. We're talking about plumbing, electrical, and mechanical roughs, and we're gonna get that stuff going, and then we'll be right into insulation and drywall.
I love it, Steve. Good
So-
stuff.
All right, how about we close this out Matt style?
Follow Steve on Instagram or Facebook. Otherwise, Steve and I will see you next time
On the Build Show.